Good day, everyone, and welcome to our late talk. This is Irish Rubin, your host for today. Today, we learn about dramatic poetry and different approaches to literature. Each of our guests will explain one topic. And let us begin. We will start with our first guest for today, Miss Hazel Sondo, and and she is going to talk about comedy.
Thank you, Irish. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
All right. So here is our first question, Miss Hazel. What makes you laugh the most?
Oh, thank you for that question, Irish. I laughed the most at unexpected jokes, funny reactions, and silly situations, especially when characters misunderstood something in a playful way.
Wow, that is an amazing. Thank you for that answer, Miss Hazel. Next is, can you name one funny movie or show you like?
One of the funny movie I like is Ang Tatay Kong Nanay. So, Babalu is the main character in this movie, and it's known for his funny and heartwarming performance. And I like the movies of Babalu because it's entertaining and it makes me laugh. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we have our last question also, Miss Hazel. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So why is comedy good for us? What do you think it is good for us?
So, comedy is good for us because it reduces stress and improves our mood, helps us connect with others, and makes difficult situations easier to handle by looking them in a lighter way.
All right. Thank you for that information, Miss Hazel. Indeed, the comedy is a stories end with a happy ending. All right. Thank you for that, Miss Hazel. Let's move on to our second guest for this talk show. We have Miss Janice Pilones.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. So, are you ready for our questions for today, Miss Janice?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So, our first question, Miss Janice, is why are emotions exaggerated in melodrama?
Well, as you have noticed, or as we have all know, that melodrama is a type of drama that uses exaggerated emotions, clear, good, and evil characters. As we all know that in drama, there is contrasting behaviors or characteristic or in a dramatic events to tell a story. It is designed to strongly appeal to the audience feelings rather than focus on realism. So by the way, the root word of melodrama, it actually implies drama with music. Although it's come back to your questions, emotions are actually exaggerated in melodrama to make the story clear and impactful. Strong impressions of feelings help the audience easily understand the characters' emotions and the conflict between good and evil. Exaggeration also keeps the audience emotionally engaged.
All right. Thank you for that information, Miss Janice. So, for our second question, Miss Janice, why is melodrama popular with audience?
Actually, it is popular because it is entertaining and emotionally engaging. So the stories are easy to follow, the characters are clearly good or bad, and the dramatic events create excitement and tension. Audiences enjoy the strong emotional experiences as well and and have the clear moral messages.
Thank you for that, Miss Janice. And also, we have our last question, Miss. Okay. So, thank you for that
Thank you.
answer. So, we have here also how. Okay, so let's move on to our third guest for today's talk show. We have Mr. George Malagsik.
Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir. So, are you ready for our questions for today, sir?
Yes, yes.
All
I'm
right, so
ready.
let's start with our first question. That Can you explain your topic and why is it important?
Is major form of dramatic poetry that presents serious, intense, and often sorrowful events. It usually follows a protagonist, or often noble, admirable, or influential, who faces a downfall because of a flaw, a mistake, or forces beyond their control. In simple terms, tragedy is the art of watching someone make one bad decision and then the universe says bad. All right. Okay. There's a lot of key features in tragedy: a heroic or central character, a tragic flaw, hubris or jealousy or impulsiveness, and etc. Conflict that spirals out of control, emotional impact, pity, fear, or catharsis, or even a meaningful message about human nature.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. George. So, we have here also our second question. Is it still relevant now to this day?
Absolutely yes. Because tragedy is everywhere. Movies like Joker, Titanic, Oppenheimer. Have you watched that movies? Or like series like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones. That's so familiar. And even viral stories
Yes, yes.
online where someone says, what could possibly go wrong?" And then everything goes wrong. Is it relatable? Yeah. So the themes of tragedy, love, loss, ambitions, and downfalls are timeless. As long as humans make questionable decisions, which is always tragedy, will always stay relevant. Alright?
All right, thank you for that information, Mr. George. Very informative, right? So, have also our next question. So, it seems, you know, I can see something, Miss Crystal.
Yeah.
Hindi makikita yung screen. All right, let's move on to our next guest for today. We have Miss Karil Ragasaho.
Thank you for your warmest
Hello, Miss
greetings.
Karil.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry for that. Are you ready for our next question, Miss Karil?
Yes.
Our question. All right. So for our first question, Miss Karil, kindly next, Miss.
I already next the slide with you.
Yes, Miss Karil.
Okay.
I can't see the question flashed in the screen.
Okay, let me read for Miss Karil the question. So the first
Okay.
question is, what is a farce, or what role does it play in a dramatic poetry?
Okay, so farce is a comedic form that exaggerates characters, situations, and actions to highlight human folly. It often relies on improbable events, mistaken identities, and physical humor. In dramatic poetry, farce plays the role of both entertainment and reflection. It entertains audiences with laughter while also revealing the absurdities of everyday life. By exaggerating human flaws, farce allows us to see them more clearly, turning ordinary frustration into comic art.
All right. Thank you for that, Miss Karil. So for our second question, Miss Karil, Why is Farce so entertaining and enjoyable to watch or read?
All right. So farce is entertaining because it thrives on surprise, repetition, and exaggeration. Audiences laugh at silly mistakes, chaotic timing, and impossible scenarios that break the rules of reality. Its humor comes from recognizing human behavior in exaggerated form, clumsiness, greed, stubbornness, but without serious consequences. This makes farce both relatable and safe, allowing people to laugh at life's chaos while enjoying the rhythm and timing of comic performance.
All right, thank you for that, Miss Carol. So for our last question, can you give an example of farce in action?
Okay, so the best example of farce is the film Home Alone. The story exaggerates a child's cleverness and the burglar's incompetence to absurd levels. Kevin's traps are wildly unrealistic, yet they create slapstick humor that audiences find hilarious. The burglar's repeated failures highlight the particle pattern of repetition and escalation, turning a serious situation into comic chaos. This shows how farce transforms fear into laughter and makes the impossible feel entertaining.
Wow, very informative. Thank you for that, Miss Caril. Now we will going to moved on for our last guest for this topic. So we have Miss Seidel Mahilom. Hello, Miss Seidel.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
All right. So are you ready for our
Yes, I
questions for
wish.
today? Okay. So our first question: how do
Yes,
social
I'm ready.
forms reflect the realities of society?
Social forms reflect the realities of society by portraying real life experiences, struggles, and emotions of people. They often highlight social issues such as poverty, inequality, discrimination, or injustice, showing the challenges and truths that exist in communities. Through imaginary, storytelling, and emotions, social forms give readers a glimpse of society's conditions from the perspective of those affected.
All right. Thank you for that, Miss Seidel. And for our second question, Miss Seidel, why is it important to study social forms?
Studying social forms is important because they help us understand social issues more deeply and develop empathy for others. They encourage critical thinking about society and its problems, inspire awareness, and can influence positive change. Social forms also preserve cultural and historical experiences, allowing future generations to learn from the struggles and voices of the past.
Thank you for that, Miss Seidel. And for our last question, Miss Seidel, our last question is, how can social bonds help address the issues we face in today's society?
Social forms can help address societal issues by raising awareness, inspiring discussions, and solving problems. By educating and influencing readers, social forms can play a role in promoting social justice, advocacy, and meaningful change in society.
All right, thank you for that, Miss Seidel. All right, so now we will move on to our next topic, which is the approaches to teaching literature. So for our first guest for of this topic, we have Miss Angel Traya. Hi, Miss Angel Traya.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Are you ready for today's questions, Miss Angel?
Yes.
All right, so let's move on to our first question. What is the cultural approach to teaching literature?
So, cultural approach to teaching literature views as a reflection of the culture, traditions, values, beliefs, and way of life of the people during the time it was written. So when teaching using this approach, the teacher helps students understand how the time, the place, and the culture of the author influence the characters, events, as well as the themes of the story. So through this approach, literature becomes a tool for understanding different cultures and also appreciating diversity.
Wow, very informative. For our next question, how does the cultural approach help students understand a literary work?
Okay, so cultural approach helps students understand a literary work by giving context to the story. So when students know the culture behind the story or the text, they better understand why characters act the way they do and why certain conflicts exist. So it also allows students to connect the story to real life traditions and also their experiences, which makes their learning more meaningful.
Wow, thank you for that, Miss Angel Traya. So for our next guest for today is Miss Gian Pardillo.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Miss Gian. So are you ready for our questions for today, Miss Gian?
Yes, Miss Irish.
All right. So for your first question, Miss Gian, what is the formalistic literary approach?
Okay, so when we talk about formalistic approach, it focuses on the text itself and how the story is written. So, for example, imagine you are reading a story to grade 1 pupils, and instead of telling them about the life of the author, you tell them, let's listen to the story and let's see what happens, and then you only focus on the events in the story and how it is told.
Wow, thank you for that, Miss Gian. And for your second question, Miss Gian, what do we study in the formalistic approach?
Okay, so in this approach, we only study the elements of the story, such as characters, plot, theme, and language. So, for example, after reading the story, you will ask the children on who is the main character of the story, what happened first and last, and what lesson did we learn. So, we also noticed here simple words or repeated words in the story to help understand its message.
Okay, thank you for that information, Miss Gian. For your last question, why is the formalistic literary approach important?
Okay, so I believe that this approach is very important because it helps readers understand the meaning of the story by closely reading the text instead of focusing on the author's life.
All right, thank you for that information, Miss Gian.
Okay, so now let us all welcome our next guest. For tonight's guest is Miss Irish Rubin. Let's give
Hel-
her a hand.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Crystal Jade.
Okay, so are you ready for your question?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so for our first question, so what is the moral and humanistic approach in teaching literature?
All right. The moral and humanistic approach focuses on the values and lessons found in the literary works. It looks at human behavior, feelings, and choices in the story. This approach helps students understand what is right and wrong and how people should treat one another.
Okay, so that was so amazing. You've got the point, Miss Irish. So next, we have how does this approach help students understand the lesson and the subject better?
Right? So, this approach helps students connect the story to real life. When students see the moral lessons in the text, they understand the story more deeply. It also helps them develop empathy, good values, and better understanding of human experiences.
Okay, indeed, that was correct. So, last, why is it important for students to learn and know this approach?
It is important because literature does not only teach reading skills but also life lessons. The moral and humanistic approach helps students shape their character and values. It guides them to become more responsible, kind, and thoughtful individuals in the society.
Okay, thank you, Miss Irish.
All right, for our next guest for tonight's talk show is Miss Crystal J. Pontiliano.
Okay,
Hello, Miss Jade.
good evening, everyone. It's
All right. Are you ready for your questions for today?
yes, I'm born ready.
Wow, that's pretty nice. So, for your first question, why is it important for students to learn and know this approach?
Okay, so it is very important to learn this approach because historical approach is a way of teaching where a lesson is explained by looking at its origin, development, and context in history. It helps students understand why ideas, events, texts, or practices came to be and how the past influences the present.
Wow, indeed, very informative. And for your next question, how does the historical approach help us understand literature better?
Okay, so historical approach helps us understand the author's experiences and the problems of society during that time. When we know the history behind a story, the characters, actions, and the themes makes more senses into sense.
All right, indeed, correct. So for your last question, Miss Christelle, can you give a simple example of the historical approach?
Uh, yes. So when we read Noli Me Tangere, are we all familiar with this story? Okay,
Yes.
so I guess we are. So when we read this story, we understanding Spanish colonization helps us see why the Filipinos in the story were oppressed and why the characters acted the way they did.
All right, that is correct. Indeed, very informative. Thank you for that information, Miss Christelle. And for our next guest. So we have our next guest, Miss Crystal Maneja. Hello, Miss Crystal.
Hello, good evening, everyone. And to you, Miss Irish, thank
Are
you
you
so much.
ready for your questions tonight, Miss Crystal?
Yes, I'm ready and very excited to share this topic to everyone.
Wow, that's nice to hear. So let's start with our first question. What does the impressionistic approach emphasize, and how is it different from a more analytical or detailed style?
So, the impressionistic approach is really about capturing the feeling of the moment. instead of focusing on every single detail. So it's like when you describe a sunset. You don't count the clouds or measure how far the sun is from the horizon. Instead, you say something like, the sky looked like it was painted with fire. That's impressionistic because you're sharing the mood and the impact it had on you. On the other hand, an analytical style would be more exact, like recording the time of sunset, the temperature, or the number of colors you see. Both are useful, but impressionism is more about experience, while analysis is about precision.
Wow, very accurate and very informative. And for our next question, in art and literature, why do you think capturing mood and atmosphere can sometimes be more powerful than focusing on exact details?
I think it's because emotions are what we remember the most. For example, when we watch a movie, we don't usually recall every line of a dialogue, but we remember how it made us laugh, cry, or even feel inspired. In painting, a blurry image of people dancing might not show every face clearly, but you can feel the joy of the party. Also in literature, a simple line like the silence was heavy can make us sense tension more strongly than a long technical description. Mood and temperature go straight to the heart, and that's why they can be more powerful than details.
Wow, thank you for that, Miss Crystal. Crystal, I mean. So for our next question, what are the strengths and limitation of using impressionistic observation in education or research?
So in teaching, one straight, one street, one strength of impressionistic observation is that it helps us notice the overall vibe of the classroom. For example, I might say the students look excited during the group activity. That gives me a quick sense of the energy and engagement. But in the limitation is that it's very personal. It depends on how I see things. Another teacher might look at the same class and say, they were noisy and restless. That's why impressionistic notes can't stand alone. They are great for capturing atmosphere, but they need to be balanced with clear data, like counting how many students joined the activity or how many stayed on task. When we combine the feeling with the facts, we get we get a fuller and fairer picture of what's really happening.
All right, thank you for that information, Miss Crystal. So for our next guest for tonight's talk show about this topic is Miss Hazel Sundo.
Hello
Hello,
again,
Miss
everyone.
Hazel. Welcome back to our talk show, Miss Hazel.
Thank you, Iris.
So for your first question, Miss Hazel, what is meant by the psychological approach?
Psychological approach is a way of understanding people by looking at what's going on in their minds, their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and motivations, and how this affects in the way they act or react. And psychological approach is like a being a mind detective. So it's all about connecting what we do to what we think and feel in our brains.
All right, thank you for that, Miss Hazel. So for your second question, how does the psychological approach help in understanding human behavior?
So it helps us understand human behavior by explaining why people do what they do by studying thoughts and emotions. So we can figure out
why someone laughs at a joke, feels happy watching comedy, or reacts differently to certain situations.
All right, that's very accurate. So for your last question, Miss Hazel, where is the psychological approach commonly used?
So basically, psychological approach is commonly used in psychology, education, counseling, therapy, media studies, literature analysis, and film or comedy analysis to better understand emotions, reactions, and behavior. And
Thank
that's
you
all,
for that.
Irene.
Okay.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you
That's
for
all.
that, Miss Hazel.
You're welcome, Irish.
So for our next guest for and next and last guest for tonight's talk show, we have Miss Janice Pilones. Welcome back to our talk show, Miss Janice.
Hello, thank you so much.
So for your first question, Miss Janice, how does social class affect access to quality education?
So when we talked about social, it is somewhat related or belong to sociological approach. So when we say sociological approach, it focuses on themes such as class, family, gender roles, power, religion, and social problems, showing how a work represents real life social conditions and values. So going back to your question, how does it affect? It actually affects access to quality education because, as we all know, wealthier families can afford better schools, learning materials, and private tutoring. And in another hand, students from lower social class or less fortunate may face poor school facilities, limited resources, and fewer educational opportunities that can cause to inequality.
All right, indeed, very informative. So for your second question, Miss Janice, how does peer pressure influence youth behavior?
Peer pressure influences youth behavior by encouraging individuals to adopt the attitudes, habits, and actions of their social group. Some are young people may change their behavior to gain acceptance or attention, which can lead to both positive actions such as studying harder or negative or even negative behaviors such as substance abuse.
All right, thank you for that information, Miss Janice. And for your last question, how does urbanization change family relationship?
Urbanization really changes family relationships by shifting from extended families to nuclear families. Busy city life, because due to busy city life, work demands, and individual lifestyles reduce family interaction, leading to it can cause to weaker traditional bonds. But although it can help them to have a greater independence among family members.
All right, thank you for that information, Miss Janice. So, thank you to all. It's a wrap. Thank you to all our guests for today sharing their knowledge. Today we learned about different types of dramatic poetry and the approaches to teaching literature. Thank you for watching our Lit Talk. See you next time. Thank you for our guests. Thank you, everyone.